بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. So inshallah, in this lesson we'll be moving on to the mushtaqat. So alhamdulillah, we started the muqaddimah. We moved our way up to conjugating the madhi mudari amr. We done the mudha'af, we done the mu'tal, we done mahmuz. Now all we have left are a few asma'ul mushtaqat. We only have a few asma'ul mushtaqat left. That's it. Okay. Now, the Asma'ul Mushtaqat are, how many of them we have here? 2, 4, 5. Zaman and Makan, but they have the same ruling. So they come Zaman, Makan, Ismul Ala, Ismul Marra, and Ismul Hay'a. So we have five types of Mushtaqat we'll be discussing. So the first one we're discussing is Ism al-Zamani wal-Makan. Ismul Zaman and Ismul Makan. We have the Ismul Dharf. So they call it Ismul Makan, Ismul Zaman, but if you use Ismul Dharf encompasses both of them. Now, how do we form this? He's given the text coming up, but simply a summary is either the verb you want to form. So what's Ismul Zaman and Makan mean? Any noun which shows where the action took place. So for example, you have the word masjid. So sajada yasjudu is to perform sujood, and masjid is where you perform sujood. You have, for example, qama yaqumu is to stand, and maqam is a place where you stand. You have, like, for example, jazara yadzuru is to butchery, where you slaughter animals. So any verb you want to show that this, even in English, for example, you have a butchery, you have a bakery, you have a dairy. So the place where you bake is called a bakery. Yes? You following? Yeah, so that's called even ismul zarf there. So if the fa'al from which you want to derive the meaning, the fa'al from which you want to derive the meaning of the ism zarf is thulathi, then there's two possibilities. Either sahih or ajwaf, they have the same ruling, or it's going to be non-sahih and non-ajwaf. If it's sahih or ajwaf, if it's ba'af daraba yadribu, meaning, because you make it from the mudari. That the mudari has a kasra here. What does the mudari have? A kasra. Then what do? You make out the pattern of majlis, maf'il, mabyit. You change the ya into a meme and done. Majlisun, mabyitun. Obviously mabyitun, and you already know, you have naqal here. So it becomes mabyitun. So majlis, mabyit becomes mabyit. So what is the example of sahih? It's the example of ajwaf. If it's yaf'alu or yaf'ulu, then you have it on a pattern of maf'al. So dhahaba yadhhabu, madhhab. Qatala yaqtulu, not maqtul but maqtal. So either it's going to be maf'il, fandaraba yadribu, or hasiba yahsibu, or dhahaba yadhhabu, and qatala yaqtulu. If it's maftuhul ayn or madhmumul ayn, it becomes maf'al pattern. So these show the place of sitting, the place of spending the night. Bata yabitu, to spend the night. Madhhab, a place to go. Maqtal, a place where the murder took place. Maqtal. If the thulathi verb is mithal, then the ismul dharf will always be maf'il. For example, you have maw'id. So wa'ada ya'idu. So ya'idu is actually got kasra anyways. Ya'idu. Yes, so maw'id means ya'idu. And you've got wada'a yada'u. So the mudari is what? Yawda'u. What do you have? Yawda'u. So ya'idu and yawda'u. Correct? So you've got yawda'u, it becomes mawdi'un. You don't say mawda'un, what do you say? Mawdi'un. So you have ya'idu and yawda'u. You got it? So you say the mithal is always maksurul ayn. And naqis is what? Always maftuhul ayn. So awa ya'wi, so daraba yadribu, so ma'win, not ma'wi, because ma'wan. And ra'a yar'a, mar'a, hiya al-ma'wa, mar'aha. So ismul dharf, ismul makan, ismul zaman, ma'wan or mar'an. So if it's sahih or ajwaf, you look at the different patterns. If it's yaf'ilu, it becomes yaf'il, and then it becomes yaf'al. And apart from that, maw'id, but all mithal are maqsurul ayn, maw'id, and all naqis are maftuhul ayn. And if it's mazid fi, not thulathi, but it's mazid fi. If it's mazid fi or ruba'i, then it's a pattern of ismul maf'ul. So ismul maf'ul is the same as the ismul zarf, ismul makan. So mudkhal. So mudkhal can be ismul maf'ul, or it can also be a Ism al-Makan or Ism al-Zaman, and the context will help you decide whether it is, which one it is. Is it maf'ul or is it Zaman or Makan? Has everybody understood so far what we've done? Everyone following? Yes? Okay. Now, Ism al-Zaman or Makan. What's Ism al-Zaman or Makan? وَهُوَ مِن يَفْعِلُ بِكَسْرِ الْعَيْنِ. It doesn't explain what it is, but it shows time or place where the action took place. Meaning, a place, a physical location where this action takes place. So from يَفْعِلُ, it comes as part of مَفْعِل بِكَسْرِ الْعَيْن مَكْسُورِ الْعَيْن كَالْمَجْلِسِ وَالْمَبِيتِ. وَمِن يَفْعَلُ وَيَفْعُلُ. If it's يَفْعَلُ or يَفْعُلُ بِفَتْحِ الْعَيْن وَضَمِّهَا. If it's what? فَتْحِ الْعَيْن or ضَمِّ الْعَيْن. It comes as a pattern of what? Maf'il comes as a pattern of maf'al, sorry, bil fath. Again, you have to write a fatha and fath al-ayn and dhammiha in case somebody types these wrong, so that you don't get, you might read it wrong. So you have to make sure that they spell it out. It comes as a pattern of maf'al bil fathi. Kal madhhabi wal maqtali wal mashrabi wal maqami wal madbaghi. Like madhhab and maqtal. Mashrab, shariba yashrabu, so mashrab. Qama yaqum is ajwaf, so maqwam. And you can all do ta'wil yourself. So maqwam becomes, you do naqal and then you do qalb. So maqwam becomes maqam. And madbagh, so a place where you drink. Maqam is a place where you stand. Madbagh is a place where you do what? Madbagh is a place where you do you tan. You have leather and you dry the leather out and make it into what we call, you dry out the animal skin, the animal hide and make it into leather. That's called a madbagh, the place where you do dibagha. Okay? Now, you have to remember, in grammar or in language, grammar is, you don't speak grammar. Grammar is a codification of the spoken language. So the Arabs spoke and then we analyzed the language and from there we made certain rules and we are able to codify majority of the things. They all fit in a very, very precise part. In the Arabic language is very, very precise and very, very systematic. But obviously there are few words we found throughout. You have some in nahwa, sometimes in sarf a bit more, that we've made a general rule, we've codified majority of the things, but some things just don't fit and we just have to say, well, this is shadh. And shadh doesn't mean it's wrong or incorrect, it just means it doesn't fit our codification. We can't codify it in a way that makes sense. So what happens here, there are certain words which shouldn't be in this pattern, but it's on this pattern. Because the rule is what? If the word is from what? Nasara yansuru, then it should be what? Maf'al, not maf'il. Yet we have many maf'ils, even though they're from Nasara yansuru. For example, sajada yasjudu. In thidi, what should it be? So here shadda is a fa'il, and all of these are fa'il. So all of these words are shadh, meaning they do not fit under our codification. So sajada yasjudu should be really what? Masjid. If you want to, it shouldn't be, it's never been masjid. But if we made the rule up, we've analyzed all of the other verbs and all of the other words, they fit under the pattern. But masjid, you don't have masjid, you always say masjid. So we say, well, this is not, again, it doesn't fit our codification. Sharaqa yashruqu shuruqan, for the sun to rise. So mashriq, not mashraq, they don't say mashraq. Wal maghrib, they don't say maghrab, gharaba yaghrub. It should be, according to all the other words that they've used, all the other verbs that they've used, we thought it would have been maghrab, but they don't use maghrab, they use maghrib, so that's how it is. Tala'a yatlu'u, to rise, so matli'. Madzir is where you slaughter. Marfiq is a place where you have comfort. Mafriq is where things separate. Maskin, sakana yaskunu, you have mas. Now in maskin you have both. You have maskin and maskan. You have both of them. Mansik, nasaka yansuku, nuskan is a ritual, to perform a ritual. So mansik, rituals. So you're supposed to have mansak, but the singular is mansik. Wal masqit, the plural of the ismu zarf of saqata yasqutu, to fall, where you fall. And mambit is the thing where things grow. So nabata yambutu nabatan, to grow. So all of these in theory they should mean with a fatha, but the Arabs have used it otherwise. Yeah. Yeah. So he's saying here, وَحُكِيَ الْفَتْحُ فِي بَعْضِهَا. Some of these have what? Fatha. So example, maskan, matla', masqat. So some of these are used with a fatha. You never have masjid. You never have mashraq or maghrib. So some of these, حُكِيَ الْفَتْحُ فِي بَعْضِهَا. In some of these, some scholars have narrated, some variations of say different lughat, different people's readings, some of them have a fatha on them. And some grammarians, like Imam Farra, He's saying all of them, if you wanted to, you could put a fatha, but that's not the majority opinion. The majority opinion is that you have to use it as sama, and where you have sama, where you have heard both being used, you can use both there. Otherwise, you can't use both. Understood? Okay? Okay. وهذا, and those rules we mentioned with what? When it's sahih and it's mithal or it's mu'tal, is ajwaf or sahih. وهذا إذا كان الفعل صحيح الفاء واللام. This is when the verb was sahih al-fa'i wal-lam, meaning either the fa and the lam is sahih. There's no harful illa in the ayn kalima. Sahih or basically ajwaf. Correct? So this rule applies to the sahih, sahih and the ajwaf. Amma ghayruhu. If it's mu'tallul fa. For mithal, what's the rule for mithal? It's always maf'il. So for min al-mu'tallil fa'i, maksurun aynuhu abada, kal mawdi' wal maw'id wal mawsim wal mawjil. So wada'a yada'u. So in theory it should be mawda', but because it's mithal, all mithal are maf'il, so mawdi'. Wa'ada ya'idu maw'id, mawsim, mawjil. Correct? ومن المعتل اللام مفتوح. If it's معتل اللام, meaning if it's ناقص, it will always be what? مفعل. And then you have qalb, so it becomes ma'wa, marwa, maqwa, mar'a. So all of these are examples where it's naqis and it becomes what? Maftuhul ayn. And then you do qalb, so it becomes ma'wa, marma. So marmayun becomes marma. So the rule is thulathi is either going to, if it's daraba yadribu, it's maqsul ayn, you have maqsul ayn, majlis or mabit. If it's other nasara, you have madhab or maqtal. And all the rest you have, and if it's sahih, if it's mithal, you have maf'il, and if it's what? Naqis, and you have maf'al. Okay? Then as a rule of another rule is mentioned here, another exception is وَقَدْ تَدْخُلُ عَلَى بَعْضِهَا تَاءُ التَّأْنِيثِ وَقَدْ تَدْخُلُ عَلى بَعْضِهَا تَاءُ التَّأْنِيثِ. Sometimes تَاءُ التَّأْنِيث comes onto some of these ism al-dharf. So you have the normal pattern, maf'il, but along with the maf'il or maf'al, you have a ta marbuta at the end. For example, madinna. Madinna is a place where something is usually found. A place where something is usually thought to be found. So madinnun, so maf'inu dhanna, yes, madinnatun. Maqbara, qabr, place where you have grave, we bury people, maqbara. Mashrafa is a what do you call it? No, a balcony. Like a balcony or, balcony. Okay, wal-mashrafa. وَشَذَّ الْمَشْرُقَ وَالْمَقْبُرَ بِالضَّمِّ. And again, the Arabs have also used the word mashruqa and maqbura. So you have maqbara and maqbura. But why is it a dhamma? It's just the way it is. We can't really, we don't see any rule for this, but these two words the Arabs have used as mashruqa and maghruba. Okay? Yes? You following? Sorry, I said balcony. That's not for that was for mashrufa. Mashrufa is mashraqa. I'm not sure what mashraqa means. I thought it was mashrufa. So I'm not sure what mashraqa means. Mashrufa is balcony and mashruqa is something else. Okay? And for the mazid fi, if it's mazid fi, then it's like ismul maf'ul. وَمِمَّا زَادَ عَلَى الثَّلَاثَةِ. Whatever is more than 3, meaning if you have a thulathi, mazid fi, or you have a ruba'i, then it's in the same pattern of ismul maf'ul. For example, mudkhal, muqam. So aqama yuqimu iqamatan. The ism al-maf'ul is also muqam, the person who's been made to stand up, but it could also be the place where people are made to stand, so muqam. So it can be used both. Mudkhal can mean the one who has been entered a place into something, and it can also have the meaning of what? Of the one, the place or the person. It can be ism maf'ul or ism al-dharf, and the context will help determine which is the intended meaning. Are you following? Then he goes on to say here, you know what happens? As a bit of a rule of thumb, if you have not a fail, so normally all the examples we've done previously were not of verbs. They were of verbs. You have a verb, okay? But what can happen, he's saying here, if you have a scenario where a thing is a noun, and that noun is found frequently in a particular place. So normally ism al-dharf, makan or zaman, shows a time or place where the action takes place. So matla' is the place where it rises or where it sets. Masjid, a place where we perform sujood. But sometimes you have nouns. If this noun is found, this thing is found frequently in one place, you can make a noun on the pattern of ism al-zaman, ism al-makan. So for example here, it says, وَإِذَا كَثُرَ الشَّيْءُ بِالْمَكَانِ. when something is found frequently in a place, you say مفعلة من الثلاثي المجرد. You say what? مفعلة. فيقال, for example, سبع. سبع means an animal of prey. سبع. سبع. You have here سبع. So a masba'a is a place. A masba'a is a place where you find many animals of prey. Asad is a lion. So a ma'sada is a place where you find animals of, Dhi'bun is where you find lots of foxes, a place where you have a den basically, a mad'aba. Mabtakha is bitikh. Bitikh means watermelons. So mabtakha is a place where you have lots of watermelon, a watermelon farm. And maqtha'atun is from kitha. Kitha is cucumbers. So maqtha'atun. So mabtakhatun and maqtha'atun. Understood? So that is the end of the Ism al-Zaman and Makan discussion. So in summary, you have Ism al-Zaman and Makan from the pattern of Thulathi or more than Thulathi. Then you have Sahih and Ajwaf on one side, and then you have Mithal and Naqis on the other side. If it's Sahih, if it's Maqsoor al-Ain, that usually is Maqsoor al-Ain. If it's Maftuh or Madmoom al-Ain, usually is Maftuh al-Ain, Madhab or Maqtal. But then you have some Shaz word like Masjid. Then if it's Mithal, it will be Maf'il. If it's Naqis, Maf'al, and Ismul Maf'ul is going to Ismul al-Mazid fi is on the pattern of Ismul Maf'ul. Then you have sometimes you have a few Shaz words which come on the pattern of Maf'ula. You also add a Ta marbuta on some of them, and sometimes you can make Ismul Dharf based on a noun, not a verb. Understood? Everyone following? Any questions? Okay, let's stop here inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.